Let's kick things off with a pretty big question. Who really owns your digital identity? You know, your name, your data, your entire presence online. Is any of it truly yours? Today, we're going to dig into a concept that really challenges how we think about our digital lives. Okay, so let's get right to the heart of it. The whole premise here starts with a pretty bold and honestly kind of unsettling claim. The digital identity that you use every single day, you don't actually control it. And this lays it out perfectly. We operate under this assumption that we're in the driver's seat. But the reality, our identities are just issued to us, they're managed, and they can even be taken away by big companies and governments. We're basically just renters, not owners. And look, the source material is pretty clear that this isn't some science fiction scenario we're talking about. It argues this is the world we're in right now. It's a landscape where control is shifting away from us and our personal privacy is shrinking. And that really sets the stage for a totally different way of thinking. So, if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, that brings us to the main event, this idea called sovereign identity. The name itself, ENTIFY, is really interesting. It's not a noun, it's a verb. It's about the act of creating an entity, and that entity is you. The whole idea is to establish your online self not as just some user profile, but as a provably real, secure, and sovereign person. And it's super important to get this. We're not just talking about another tech product or an app here. This is being framed as a fundamental reset, like a completely new starting point for how we prove who we are in the digital world. So here's how it breaks down into different layers. First, you've got a lawful identity, which is basically you just declaring who you are. Then there's a separate legal one, the one with your documents, but, and this is key, it's kept totally private. On top of that, you have a cryptographic signature that only you control. It's like all these different pieces of you coming together into one whole that you and only you possess. All right, so I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds great in theory, but how on earth does it actually work? Well, that's where this core component comes into play, the private vault. The principle behind it is actually pretty straightforward. It boils down to 3 steps. 1, everything is secure, locked down on your own device, no cloud storage. 2, it's private because it literally never leaves your possession. And 3, it's provable. You can prove you're a real human to other systems without ever having to actually hand over all your personal info. And this right here, this is maybe the most critical part. It's like having a safe that not even the company who built the safe has the key to. If they can't get in, nobody can. Your identity is invisible by default, and you're the only one with the keys. And what's in this vault? Well, pretty much your entire digital life. We're talking legal docs, biometric data, your crypto keys, even your private messages. The whole point is to have one single ultra-secure container for everything that makes you online. Okay, so that's the tool for one person. But what happens when you start connecting people who all have one of these vaults? What kind of online world does that actually build? And wow, when you put it side by side like this, the difference is just night and day, isn't it? On the one hand, you've got the internet we know, which is just full of bots, fake accounts, and constant tracking. And on the other, you have the proposal for a network where everyone is a verified human. Privacy is the default, and you can actually trust who you're talking to. Yeah, that's really the linchpin of this whole ecosystem, verifying that everyone is a real person. The goal is to just get rid of all the noise, the scams, the bots, and the manipulation that we deal with every day by making sure every single account is tied to a real human being. This is where things start to feel, well, pretty revolutionary. The idea isn't to get you to log off or escape the digital world. It's about giving you the tools to show up and engage with it, but completely on your own terms. So you can see how all these pieces fit together now, right? Your identity becomes lawful because you say it is, legal because you can prove it if you need to, anonymous because you're in charge of access, and trusted because the system guarantees you're human. That's a really powerful stack. And that brings us to what might just be the biggest mind shift in this whole thing. We are so used to thinking of ourselves as just users, or joining a platform or signing up for a service. But this completely flips that on its head. You're not just a user in the system. With your own sovereign identity and your own private vault, in a very real way, you are the system. You become the source of your own authority. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. The source material presents this as a choice.
It's a tool for people who are tired of being a character in someone else's digital story and are ready to become the author of their own.
And so that's the big question to leave you with. If you could really operate online with total privacy, total security, and total authority over who you are, what would that change for you? What new things could you build or create? It's a pretty fascinating thought.